Welcome back to another 1000X podcast. It has been a fun week. I was 100% wrong with my previous call of range. I thought that we were going to get some. I thought that we were going to get some, consolidation for a bit. Turns out everything just decided to rip up like massively. ETH BTC sort of the huge winner here that everyone's been talking about. I think like my personal take is still what it was before. I think on the last podcast, I didn't expect it to happen so fast, but on the last podcast, I said, there's some perpetual shorts in the market. You just have to wait for them to rip, anywhere from 20 to 60%, depending on the asset. I gave a target of 20 to 25% for ETH BTC to rip before you start shorting it again. And guess what? It's now up 32%. So, I think with these types of moves, you kind of have to wait for a period of side. Like after something rockets higher really quick, you have to wait for a little bit of sideways and a little bit of weakness, and then attack the weakness. So that's a little bit of what I'm waiting for right now. ETH BTC still looks okay, actually. People were just giga short the asset. It's been very strong. I don't know, Jonah, what are you thinking?
Avi, I'm trying to decide if we are so back. Like crypto, I did not expect this either. I'm positioned for it, which is nice, but it's an unexpected surprise. I was sort of mentally preparing myself for another drawdown and maybe another month or three of just like painful sideways chop. But we just gassed higher, and it's not entirely clear why. I still think that ETH is a flaming pile of crap. I do think that it is a good short, but given my experiences attempting to catch falling knives in crypto, so basically do the opposite of what you just described, like something just pukes and then buy it. I've had such bad experiences doing that I would be afraid to do the opposite and short ETH BTC on like this crazy rally that it just had. I mean, obviously, I agree with it. Basically, that's a long-winded way of saying I agree with your take that we should kind of wait for it to go sideways and stabilize a little bit before getting short. I, I, it's kind of in price discovery mode, that pair. But if you zoom out and you look at like the really long-term chart, I mean, this friggin' thing has gone down in a straight line from 0.085 to 0.019, like pretty much down only, with a couple of like short squeeze rallies in December of 23 and May of 24. So, if the thing's trading 0.024 on a historical long-term context, it's still basically on the lows, right? Like maybe not the dead ball absolute pico lows, but it's on the lows. So yeah, I think like with respect to shorting ETH versus Bitcoin, just wait for the price discovery to end, wait for people to stop, covering their shorts or trying to get long this thing, and then you probably get short again. Because I I know there's this narrative bubbling in the background about ETH about like, oh, the institutions are finally coming, TradFi, BlackRock, blah blah blah. Um, I don't see how any of that really accretes value to ETH holders. You know, like I think all of the activity is going to be on base. I guess maybe a few new ETH wallets get opened and some ETH gets bought to fund those wallets. Is that really enough? Like, that's what I'm debating mentally. ETH just seems kind of radioactive to me, and I think that other chains will continue to proliferate and dominate the L1 space. I posted takes like that on Twitter just to sort of stress test the idea, and there is a really committed community of ETH maximalists, maybe you call it. Aficionados who are finally feeling like they've had their moment in the sun, and it's their time to shine. And they're very upset that people out there could possibly believe that ETH won't perform over the long run. But I'm still a massive skeptic. Ever since you kind of talked me out of my bags last summer, I'm just wondering what's the impetus to get back in? Is ETH even a good business? Is base going to result in this massive multi-hundred billion dollar asset returning decent yield to investors. Like I think the price is still just too damn high. What do you think? You're on mute.
I think long term, it's still fucked. I mean, this is clearly like from a trader's perspective. You always have to pick your spots and you have to be careful, especially if you're going to be shorting crypto assets, as you can see with ETH. I think one thing that was very clear is just how many people were short this asset as an alt pair. Um, like I think that when ETH was rallying, there were actually when it had like that massive move up, it was outperforming so many different alts, and that's actually quite rare. And I think a portion of that is because like people were long hyperliquid and short ETH, and people were long Pendle and short ETH, and people were long all these like other random things and short ETH. And I think a ton of them just had to cover those. A ton of those people had to cover those positions, and that ended up cascading into what we see today. And then obviously in crypto, price is fundamentals in many ways. Not legitimately fundamentals, but it's what drives people to buy an asset, right? If you have momentum off the lows from an asset that's been lagging for more than a year at this point, you get a lot of people chasing that move. Now, once all of the shorts are completely cleared out, of which I don't think we're actually done with that clearing yet, and the momentum buyers and ETH kind of stops going up for 2 to 3 days, I think you see like pretty radical reversal in ETH BTC. Now, whether that's maybe we have like another 20% to go before that happens, but basically what you should be watching for is uh, like 2 to 3 days of red candles from ETH, and then you can start to attack it a little bit, and then you're like, okay, back to like we're back, short squeeze over, position repositioning over, because the reality is the fundamentals have not changed. Like usage is going everywhere else but ETH right now, and
Yeah.
that to me signals okay, time to like there will be a time to short. Now, if we saw tremendous amount of usage cropping up on ETH, and we saw a lot of new people, dropping projects on ETH, and hell, if we even saw MSTR competitors surrounding ETH, what's funny is like we're seeing all these MSTR competitors pop up. We saw one for Solana, we saw one for uh, Tau come up. Where's the one for ETH? I think it's probably it's like at some point it's going to come, but like I just think people realize there's just not that much appetite.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, have you used ETH recently? Like I received some tether on ETH recently, and then just like sending it to sending it to a centralized exchange to go buy some crypto with it. Like I ended up spending $1 of the tether. And I'm like, this isn't the point of crypto. I know I'm like
No.
beating a very dead horse here, but like back in the day it was so new and cool and wow, world computer, like programmable money. Now I'm just like, the space has just moved on and this tech hasn't. And bridging between ETH and the various L2s, like to trade on Hyperliquid, which I would never do because I live in the United States. You've got to bridge your ETH from mainnet to
Mhm.
Arbitrum to do anything interesting on Aerodrome, or for a while there was a meme season on Base, like you had to bridge to Base. Bridging, yeah, there's like the Across protocol. There are all these other random sites that may or may not be trustworthy. The best bridge is always a centralized exchange, right? Like that's really the best gateway to get from an L1 to an L2. I don't care what anybody else says like about on-chain bridging. I personally am going to trust Coinbase, Kraken, or Bybit or OKX way more than I'm going to trust like bridgefart.xyz to bridge like real size. And um, honestly, that defeats the purpose, right? If you're trading on chain, or you're doing something on chain, it's supposed to be on chain. It's not supposed to go through a centralized exchange. I don't. I was late to this opinion, but I just don't believe in the architecture anymore, and I don't believe that like a million people, million new users coming onto Base, really results in a higher ETH price. I would if the FDV of ETH was like $10 billion or $20 billion, like Hyperliquid. but certainly not at these prices. So, I completely agree with your take. I think like tread with extreme caution around ETH.